Donald Trump's White House bracing for what they believe could be an onslaught of investigations. Lawyers working to prepare from what they're calling, quote, threats of both the Mueller report, if ultimately it becomes public, as well as new House probes. Axios says there's a, quote, surge of internal action that's inside Trump's White House counsel's office. A lawyer, quote, coaching staffers on what to expect and how to prepare for Mueller. All of this, of course, comes as Mueller's honing in on some specific individuals, including Roger Stone associate Jerome Corsi. We know that because of reports of subpoenas for 3 new witnesses that include his stepson, as well as bringing receipts to Paul Manafort, asserting Mueller that he has documentary evidence and text messages about something that we've recovered tonight. Manafort's outreach both to the Trump administration and conspiring with a Russian-linked individual to witness testimony. The Democrat in charge of the House Intel Committee responding first on that on The Beat last night.
Here you have the campaign chairman of the Trump campaign lying about his contacts with someone believed to be in league with Russian intelligence. Of all the things that you might lie about when you're in a cooperation agreement, the fact that what you're lying about involves someone believed to be associated with Russian intelligence ought to concern us the most.
Very concerning, and we have 2 perfect guests for this. David Dorson was the former assistant chief counsel of the Senate Watergate Committee and worked in the Southern District of New York, where the Cohen case is. We're also joined by former federal prosecutor Kim Whaley, I should say. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Whaley, and you have quite a bit of experience in these high-level federal probes. Let me start with you. The significance of Mueller against the backdrop of a new boss coming in who may not even let his report go public, being quite busy this week.
Well, I think it shows that predictions of his demise as an independent counsel is misguided. I think he's going ahead subpoenaing witnesses. I think his indictment of the 19 Russians showed that he wants to get cooperation from the American unindicted co-conspirators, and I think we have a long way to go with Bob Mueller.
In Watergate, where you have so much experience, the information flow changed a lot of public views over time and ultimately changed members of the president's own party, who initially had been, and people can forget this, quite loyal and quite supportive of Nixon and his aides, even as some people got in trouble. I wonder how you take that and apply that to what we're learning from Mueller when he chooses to share, in what are sometimes called speaking papers, he chooses to share that as recently as May of this past year, you have Manafort saying, if I see POTUS one-on-one next week, can I remind him of our relationship? Someone texting that. Manafort saying yes, even if it's in a group. Why is Mueller telling us that Manafort is in touch with people in touch with the White House?
Because I think he's showing that he has a lot of evidence and that he is casting out for additional witnesses that will strengthen his case. There's a lot we don't know about the investigation, but one thing I can tell you is that it's thorough and that he knows his job and that he's searching for low-level people, as we did, to move higher up the ladder, and ultimately we'll have to see.
And Kim, put that against the backdrop of these House probes that Axios is nothing if not good at getting anonymous quotes from people inside the Trump White House. That's their thing. And they have people in there saying they're worried about these probes. Michael Cohen now teeing up. If you had a different election result, I don't know that we'd have public testimony from Michael Cohen.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a watershed moment in this entire process, because I think there's so much coming out that the American public doesn't understand the story, the narrative, and when they put a regular citizen, the way Michael Cohen talks, they're going to understand from a live person what actually happened, at least as to him.
Well, the story tonight is that Russia is running U.S. foreign policy and sanctions policy. The question is whether that is of a criminal nature or just a really odd thing that keeps happening.
Or national security. I mean, I think now we've introduced not just crimes, we've introduced a potential threat to our national security from the FBI. I think that's a whole nother kettle of fish, both of which, I mean, I worked on the Ken Starr investigation, both of which I think could give rise, arguably, to impeachment process. And on your point with respect to witness tampering, both in Watergate and in Whitewater, witness tampering was one of the articles of impeachment. It's one of the distinguishing factors in my discussions with former Republicans involved in the Whitewater probe that distinguishes this probe from that. So I think that's going to be quite interesting.
Oh, I agree. And this is getting very, very serious. Without minimizing Watergate, which I'm the last person to do, I think this is much more serious and potentially damaging to the country.
More serious, why?
Well, because not only does it involve criminal conduct, but it expands the criminal conduct to our allies, to our economy. These were not really concerns of anybody back in 1973, 74, the economy of foreign relations, but they are now. It's quite possible, we don't know, that some of the stuff that Trump is doing with Syria is designed to improve his relations with his base, with Russia, and other things.
Right, which is harrowing. On the other hand, didn't history ultimately prove that Watergate was just a third-rate burglar?
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
I know.
I'm kidding.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I surrender.
David.
No, good. Thank you very much.
Kim,
Ari.
thanks to both of you for your
happy to be
expertise.
here.
What you said there is pretty arresting. I hope you both come back. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.